Okay, terrific. Today we have an awesome show. We have someone on that really I'm so intrigued to talk to. She has such an incredible background, and she starred in honestly, well, the greatest mini series ever in the history of television. She was on Roots. That's My Mama. I mean, ER. I could go on and on, but I'd like to welcome Lynne Moody. Lynne, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I appreciate that.
Oh, please. Well, believe me, I meant it. So I'll tell you what, just to get started right away, why don't we talk about Roots? Because I know that, my listeners, I'm sure are going to, be wanting to know about, every angle, whatever. But why don't you tell me how you initially auditioned for Roots? That's the part I'm intrigued by.
You know, I remember that so well. I was actually in Mississippi doing a movie of the week with Chuck Connors and Deborah Raffin. And the two leads were myself and Deborah Raffin. And Chuck Connors kept talking about this roots back in LA. And I thought, why is he talking about roots? We're on this movie, my movie, Nightmare. And then lo and behold, after it was over, I was called in for an audition. I was so excited because it was the talk of the town for Black people. Something finally came around that was wonderful. And it was about us. So it was the first time that slavery was told from the slave's point of view.
Yeah.
Alex Haley spent 12 years writing this story, and his experiences, when he talks about them, he takes you right along there with him.
Oh,
At
yeah.
one time, he was so frustrated, nothing was coming. He was on this ship, and he said he felt like just jumping over and forgetting it all because he owed people money and stuff for the book. He went down below, and all of a sudden, all the voices started talking to him, his
Wow.
ancestors. And he sat down and he started writing. And it was magical the way he explains it, the way the answers came alive and spoke to him. It was just out of this world. So, of course, when I met him, when I auditioned,
Hmm.
I put my whole self into it. It was really, really important for everyone Black that was, called for an audition. And the producer, Stan Margulies, after I was finished, he said, I don't mind telling you, that was damn good. And I
Wow.
felt good, but I didn't get that part.
What?
No,
What?
that part went to Olivia Cole.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then they called me in for another meeting because they didn't think I could be old enough, because I know that the character ages a lot in the first.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was called in again for another role. And I loved that character of Irene. And they loved me. And I was so happy. Everyone was so happy. It was like Christmas.
Wow. How much time had passed between that first audition and then getting the chance to audition for Irene?
Not much time, not much time. I think probably a week or two, something like that. They had so many parts that they were casting.
Yeah.
So many of the characters did age, beautifully. So, I mean, it was quite an undertaking, trying to find the right characters for all of these people. But what turned out to be such a great, great, great part, because then my character, Irene, and Chicken George and George Sanford Brown, who played
Mhm.
my husband Tom,
Great
we
actor.
yes, wonderful person too. We were the only carryovers from Roots One to Roots the Next Generations, so that I got to be a part of each of those miniseries.
Ah, what a gift. What a gift. And
And
what wasn't Ben Vereen? Was he Chicken George?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, Ben Vereen. My first scene that is shown is I'm walking down this road with a basket on my head, and here comes this horse up behind me with this colorful man. And I get all excited after I find out he's Chicken George. And they always tease me because they always said, "Oh my." I said that so much. Oh my, oh my. I'm so silly.
Oh, that is awesome. What was it like, by the way, to work with Ben Vereen? Had you met him previous to that?
Um, no, I get confused about the dates because I did do another show with Ben, a couple of other shows with Ben later
Mhm.
on in my career.
Yeah.
But no, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's okay. Hey, don't worry about it. You have a huge career. I can get where you go, like when was that here or whatever. But do you remember just that first time meeting him? I mean, I've always admired him. I always thought he was
Yes.
just not that, by the way, not taking anything away from George Stanford Brown, but Ben Vereen, he just, I don't know, he just had that star quality thing going, you know?
Yes, because he is so multi-talented. He is
Hmm.
a song and dance man, done Broadway. And so he brought his body, as
Hmm.
well as his mind and other talents to it, where he could, skip along and things. And he is a wonderful human being still to this day. He's still
Hmm.
working and very active, very multi-talented. And we were excited, to work with him.
Hmm.
Um, he didn't come over to the Roots the Next Generation. They hired another fellow,
Hmm.
Avant Long, who was already up in age.
Yeah,
Um, contracts and
I
negotiations.
know.
I guess.
Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha. So
But
go
I
ahead.
I was just going to say, Ben is a wonderful, wonderful person. We've all kind of connected through the years, through Warner Brothers doing promos for Roots or keeping it alive and things. So we have kept in contact. And then, we just lost the great, great, great Lou Gossett.
Yeah, that one hurt.
That hurt.
Yeah.
He was like a king for us in so
Hmm.
many ways. He was an original. He was the first. He had so many experiences that he shared with the world, with
Hmm.
us when he first arrived in California. I won't go into them, but they're very disturbing, and it makes him even more of a valuable, wonderful, wonderful, strong human being, spiritual and loving. And we miss him. We did lose a giant.
Oh, I agree with you. And total class act.
So
Yeah.
talented,
Hmm.
so talented. And he also included so many Black actors in his works. I worked
Hmm.
with him on two movies, and I know that George's daughter, he called her in on a couple of movies. He was just generous. He took me to the Oscars, and
Wow.
yeah, he's just a wonderful, wonderful guy.
Did he take you to the Oscars the year he won?
No,
Okay.
no,
I was
no,
like, wow. Yeah. Darn.
no. I didn't know him that well the year he won for Officer and a Gentleman.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I will never forget him in that. Okay, so there's a lot of little things, well, not little, big things actually, that go down with Roots that are beyond the show itself in your case that I'm very intrigued by. One is you had mentioned you were in Mississippi with Chuck Connors. I did a lot of research on you and that Nightmare in Badham County, which then of course, I think they release it as then just Nightmare, but is to me, and I mean this in the best way, it feels like that would have been such an influence on you coming into your Roots audition because of the experience that you went through being there. Do you
Oh,
mind?
yes.
I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but am I, did you get that? I mean, did
Yes.
the timing is just kind of wild.
It is wild because even though the people that I worked with on this movie Nightmare and all of that, they were great.
Yeah,
But I was in Mississippi for the
right.
first time in my life.
This is the 70s, right? This is like, yeah.
And not to go into too much detail, but I did have a confrontation when we were going down there. My agent called me and he said, "Now they promised to not leave you alone and have people around you." And I thought, well, What scene is that? I didn't see that in the script. What scene? I
Yeah.
thought he was talking about the movie. No, he's talking about real life. Because in actuality, what happened was I was in the restaurant area, in their little bar area, and people said to me, don't go by the pool. Don't go by the pool because the KKK are there. And so don't go by the pool. So, of course, I go by the pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of
Well,
course.
you're a young woman. What the heck? Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm not from the South.
Yeah.
So I don't know about these. So I went by the pool and there were these young guys, young guys. They were KKK. And I had never been spoken to that way in my life.
Wow.
So casually, with the N word coming out of their mouths. And they were so friendly and they were so racist. And I didn't know this, but our crew members had been told and warned before even coming there not to get involved with anything, not to get involved with any of the people, the locals, or whatever. They knew that there was a racist country, but a racist place.
Yeah, sure.
They were not going to get involved or they would be fired and sent home. So now and then, because it was me surrounded by like five guys,
Very scary.
Yeah. And I was so angry, but I would see crew members, like the camera crew, walk by ever so slowly with a bottle in their hand,
Oh my gosh.
like they were ready to just go.
Wow.
But it was an experience that I used that fed
Mhm.
me, of course, in Roots.
Yeah, I wondered about that because that timing is just impeccable. I also read that Chuck Connors he really had your back.
Oh, yes, he did. Chuck Connors, he would say to people, don't mess with this little girl. We went into a pizza place. It might have been Pizza Hut. I don't know. Across the street from a location we were shooting at. The two
Yeah.
of us walked in. Everybody just turned around and stopped and stared. And you think, okay, because it's Chuck Connors. But it's Chuck Connors with a black woman,
Yep.
girl. And he actually said, what are you looking at?
Oh, wow. I love it. And I mean, Chuck Connors is a big guy.
I know. And he was wonderful. I guess, he just was protective and had such a central role because his character ends up killing me at the end of the movie,
How,
shooting me in the back.
how crazy is that?
And
I mean,
he's the
really.
opposite of who he's playing,
Yeah.
and taking such lovely care of me, making sure because he knew that this was my first lead.
Wow.
Um, so he was a sweetheart. He was a sweetheart.
I love hearing that. And yeah, because it's so interesting. You're going in to play this a movie, the first really true movie about slavery, and you are literally coming off this extreme, racist experience. I mean, it's like what, as an actress or actor, what more could you, in a in some way ask for like adding to the layers of your character. I mean, my
Exactly.
gosh.
Exactly. And I have to tell you that the next day that happened in Mississippi, the whole town committee came to the hotel the next day to apologize to me. They admitted about their racist reputation and whatnot, but they had hoped, they said, that their children would not take up that racism. So they apologized.
Whoa, that's a big
Yeah.
moment. I didn't know about that. That's quite interesting. Wow. Well, I think that's just amazing. And then the other side of this is Alex Haley. I have a question about that, but I about something else that comes up. But I want to know, what was he like as a man? Because I understand you got to know him quite well.
Yes, he was a lovely man. he had so much respect for humanity, and with all of his success, he treated everyone equally. It didn't matter if you were the president of the studio or one of the janitors that cleaned up. I've seen it. Treat people with such kindness, with such respect, with such humanity equally. And that that registered, and I learned from that. And when he spoke, because he spoke at Warner Brothers to the cast members
Wow.
about Roots and the experience. And I want to tell you, you were glued to your seat because he was a storyteller.
Yeah.
We had the privilege of sitting there listening to this story firsthand.
Wow.
And, it was just memorable. Thank you for asking me about that and having me relive it and remember those
Oh,
magnificent experiences.
oh, heck yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. Um, Now here's another side of this, and I, I thought this was wild, and I know the story has been told, but I was blown away how early on. I know that you find your daughter actually finds you, but before any of this happens, I had also seen that you reached out to Alex Haley and actually, I mean, I'm sure people listening are like, what is he talking about? But basically, you had, due to what, whatever the circumstances were when you were younger, had to give up your daughter for adoption. And then you spent this time searching for her, but you actually talked to Alex about it. Is that right?
That's right. I did. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make any progress because at that time I had signed legal papers to
Oh,
give up all rights so that she could be adopted. And I could not find out anything about her,
hmm,
but it was legal for her and her adopted parents to find out anything about me. And I was glad about that on where I was. Now, I don't know that they took advantage. I don't think that they knew that or that they did that or it was even necessary because
sure.
she was happy with these loving parents. I mean, I had turned 18 when I delivered her, when I gave birth,
Yeah.
and her adopted parents were in their early 30s.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was a difference between night and day, um, as far as me giving her up for adoption.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Well,
know that I would.
there's no judgment here.
Oh, I
Believe
know.
me. I
I do that to
understand that.
myself. I do that to
Yeah.
myself. And when I
Yeah.
look at her, I know that I did the right thing
Of
because I've
course.
often said I didn't have the tools. I was in school.
Hmm.
And if I had kept her and raised her the way I fantasize sometimes, she'd still be in therapy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And by the way, for everybody out there, I have met her and she is a beautiful woman and she has a charismatic personality and she's wonderful. So that I will vouch for that myself. So why don't you, because I think it's worth retelling on some level. How did you reconnect? Because that is an amazing story.
Yes. So my first year came out to California. I was 17, starting college at the Pasadena Playhouse. And the second half of the year, had an experience with a fellow one time,
Hmm.
got pregnant, and it changed my whole world and everything. And I was sent to a home for unwed mothers, and I stayed there until I delivered. And when I delivered, they knew that they felt that I should not see her
Hmm.
because if I saw her, I would never be able to forget her.
Yeah.
But so they put a little towel, little
Oh, oh my
washcloth over
gosh. Oh
my
my
eyes just
gosh.
when she was born. So I couldn't see her.
Oh.
I could hear her cry. And
Mm.
I just lost it. I said, I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, baby. They took her away. And that was the beginning of this journey to learn how to live
Hmm.
with the knowledge that I'm a mother and that I have a daughter that I don't have, that I may never see.
Yeah.
And so trying to live with that knowledge for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years is what happens. You learn how to live with that knowledge when you don't know if she's alive, if she's dead, if she's happy, if she's hungry, if she's being beaten, if she's being honor student, whatever.
Wow,
So
that's something.
yeah, yeah. So I just had to deal with that. But God is good, and look at how it turned out.
Yeah,
And
how did she, just for everybody out there, how did she end up connecting to you?
through those genetics, 23andMe, that site, my brother was on that site.
Hmm.
And she and her son, my grandson,
Wow.
also, he would say, "Oh, mom, go on that site and find out, maybe we have some medical things we need to know about." So she found my brother, um, that they were related, that he was her uncle. And she said, "Oh my goodness." So she called him and he asked her a few questions, and he wanted to make sure because he didn't know if it was legitimate.
Sure.
So he called me and said, "Does the name," and I said, "No, the name doesn't sound familiar or anything like that." And so he said he thinks that I might be her mother. And this is the first time anything like this has happened during this whole experience. So I said, "Carlton, find out when she was born. If she was born December 10th, 1964, then it was her,
Oh,
because
wow.
and she's my blood." So I went for a little walk because I was actually in Oregon visiting my sister. I went for a little walk. When I came back, my brother called on the phone again. He said, "Emmy, I I talked to Lisa. She was born December 10th, 1964, and she is your daughter."
Hmm.
And when he said that, really, I just fell apart. I just screamed, I burst apart inside. My heart was just wide open. And I was running throughout the house, up and down the stairs, saying, "I have a daughter. Her name is Lisa. She's not a
Uh,
secret anymore. She's not a dirty secret. She's beautiful. I have a daughter." Ah!
oh, wow.
I was really carrying on like that. And
Yeah.
I came back to the phone, and my brother said, "She's going to call you in a half hour because she's at work." And I said, "Carlton, can I call her? Can I call her now?" And he said,
Oh,
"Yes, Emmy. Yes, Emmy." So he gave me the number. Now I was on the floor, really. I was inconsolable. It was almost like I was giving labor,
oh, I
and
believe it.
and so um, I was on the floor sobbing and whatnot. And so my sister said I was inconsolable, and she said she's going to call you in a half hour. So I said, "Carlton, can I call her? Can I call her?" And he said yes. So he gave me her number. I called the number. I was hoarse from screaming and crying,
Oh my
and
God.
I said, somebody, a female answered. I said, "Hello, is Lisa there?" And she said, "This is Lisa. Is this my mom?"
Oh,
And when she said that, an inner calm came throughout my whole being. It
hmm.
was an experience that even reliving it now, I feel. And I said for the first time, "Yes, honey, I'm your mom.
Oh,
This is your mom."
wow.
And for the next, I don't know, 1 minute, 5 minutes, each of us, we were just saying, "Oh my God, oh my God,
Hmm.
oh my God, oh my God."
What was, when did you actually get to meet her in person? And what was that like the first time actually
Wow.
seeing?
Yeah. So this was on a Friday. I was in Oregon, and I told her I was coming back on Sunday. And so I said, Saturday, I said, "Can I see you?" Um, and she said, "Yes, yes, I'll come to you." And I can't quite remember what the order of this, but I said, "Oh, well, how about then? Can I see you Sunday?" And she said, "Yes, yes, I'll come there. I'll come." So I got home from the airport. One of my sisters picked me up. We came home. I was so excited. I told her what had happened. I'm so excited. I'm just waiting for her to come. I'm looking out the window. I see her drive up in the driveway. I don't even wait anymore. I just fly out of my house. I go to the car. I open the door. I didn't know it at the time, but she's on the phone talking to her son, saying, "I'm in the driveway now. I'm in the driveway."
Oh, geez.
But I pulled the door open and just grab her. So I don't know what happened to the phone or anything like that. I'm just holding her. I'm just holding my baby. And
Wow.
that's what we did. We just held each other. And then she came in, and then I was able to talk to my grandson again, and it was just bliss. It was just bliss that first. encounter and the discovery of one another and her family members that I told her about, or aunts and uncles and cousins and
Wow. Wow. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, seriously, that it's just wild between that and, like I said, the thing with Mississippi. It's the it's its own like roots kind of story. You know what I mean? It's just really cool. Anyway, I'm so happy for her, and she's, like I said, she's just a great woman. So that's awesome.
she,
Um,
I'm,
so
I'm blessed.
oh,
I
you are
lucked
blessed.
out. Lucked out. And my grandson, people say, "Oh, you have a grandson. How old is he?" And I say 35, and they go, they're expecting 5, 6, maybe 14.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're thinking like this, yeah, but you're right. Hey, you were 18. You know. Okay, so I'll tell you what, going back to roots,
Mhm.
um, you're shooting this, and yes, it's very important, as a black woman, and as you said, I mean, I had Todd Bridges on. He said the same thing. He said every black actor, actress in town was in that thing or was there. You know,
Yeah.
what now, which in
Played my
itself,
son.
you're what?
He played my son, Todd
Oh my
Bridges.
gosh, that's right. That is crazy. I mean,
Bud, little
seriously. Oh,
Bud.
is that funny? Oh my gosh, I didn't even put that together in all the research. You're right. Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Well, sure, go ahead. Go ahead. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. Hey, life happens whenever you're doing these things. Well, first of all, I'll tell you what the heck? What was your relationship with like being with Todd? I mean, Todd's been around a long time himself.
Yes, yes. No, he was my son. We embraced our characters 100%, 200%. We embraced them fully. We loved these people that Alex had so richly created,
Yeah.
you know, and so dimensional. So he was my son. He was my kid, Bud was, and he asked the sweetest questions. And I had a little daughter too. Um, didn't have a lot of dialogue with them, but they were always there and they were always loved. And Todd was a little pro. He was a little pro. He knew what to do, and he'd said he even had tears in some of the scenes,
Oh
when he
yeah.
was crying, he was wonderful and in that wonderful little actor at that age. And still,
Oh
he's
yeah.
had a good career, great career.
Have you stayed in touch or seen him since?
No, I haven't.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how like you can be that close and then yeah. Did you so look, it meant a lot, obviously, like I said, as a black actor and all of that. But having said all of that, did you realize or did the cast realize, oh, this is going to be huge or not?
I don't know that I thought about what it was going to do. I just knew that it was there now, and
Hmm.
that it was the first time or one of the few times, and that it was for us, and that it was a book, and that it was
Hmm.
real. Didn't know that it was going to do what it did in the ratings. I don't think anybody knew. As a matter of fact, what I understand is that David Wolper thought it was either going to be a big hit or a big flop. So he wanted to get it over with right away, which is why they aired it night after night after night after night, because
Oh
that was the
wow.
first time that a miniseries had been aired consecutively, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like that in
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
row. And since then, of course, a lot of shows do that. But and then it was a ratings magnificent, because in the East also there was a huge storm. So a lot of the people couldn't go out, didn't go out. They stayed home because there was this huge storm over the East. And so the ratings were off the charts. They were groundbreaking. And you know, I want to mention Brad Davis because he played,
Loved him as an actor. Loved him. That one hurt too, by the way, when he passed. Yeah.
he was a brother. You know,
Mhm.
we hung out so much together. As a matter of fact, you see, I have two holes in my ears on this
Yeah,
side.
I see him.
Brad Davis, myself, and George Sanford Brown to celebrate our relationship. We all went into Beverly Hills and got our ears, another hole pierced in our ears for our, to
Wow.
commemorate our relationship in Roots. So all
Wow.
three of us had an extra hole, and that's what that was for. Brad
Oh,
Davis, Roots.
oh my gosh, that's interesting. That really is. Great actor. I mean, great actor. Yeah, I'm with
Midnight
you.
Express.
Ah, one of my favorites. Yeah.
Said that that director was Alan Parker. I think he said he
Hmm.
would have done anything Alan said. He would have jumped off the river if Alan said do that, because he was so trusting of him, and it was such an amazing part and an amazing story.
Oh yeah. I mean, that put him in as as one of those like icons. Everybody knows that film. That's cool. That's great to hear. I love it when you hear about an actor like that you admire, that he, was just a really good person like that.
Oh, he was tremendous, and that's why we did the piercings, because we wanted to bond. We were bonding with each other.
That's pretty cool. Did you Next Generation, I believe it was I mean, and I realize it was huge too, so you might not have met everyone, but I mean you had Richard Thomas was in that.
He was a bud. He was
Okay.
great. He was lovely. He was wonderful, so friendly, so sweet. I mean, we didn't have any jerks on Roots.
Well, but you
Not
had
that I
Henry,
know of.
well, but you had Henry Fonda, James Earl Jones, Paul
Olivia de
Winfield.
Havilland.
Yeah, Olivia De. I mean, come on. Did you get a chance to have any kind of chat at all with any of them?
Yeah, yes, yes, indeed. It was, and they were gracious. They're pros. Olivia and Henry Fonda would be in the makeup chair, getting their faces pretty and young, and I'd be in another makeup chair getting all these prosthetics, making me look, 80.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
It is. There you have the veterans and the young one, and they're,
Wow.
yeah. It
Were
was.
they, so were they, did, I mean, did you get a chance to like, I mean, obviously, you're looking at these people and it's like, my gosh, I mean, what a career they had. I mean, do you have much of a chance to talk, or is it just kind of like
Oh,
how
well,
are
it
you?
depends. Yeah, it depends. Like Richard Thomas and I, we talked about working together. We talked about doing other things together, getting other projects together, and the Marlon Brando
Oh,
was,
that's right.
he
Yes.
called up and asked to be in Roots, so they wrote that part for him.
Oh my gosh, is that cool?
Yes, it was so cool. But then it was just so ridiculous too, because he got nominated for an Emmy and he won. And I remember being at the Emmys thinking, he wouldn't even want this. Why did they do this? There are people that in Roots that have aged from 4 to 90,
Yeah, you're right.
in the next generations. And
Yep.
Marlon Brando comes in for a half a day,
Yep.
and we knew that that was, whatever it was, but
Were you there the day he shot?
no, that was closed.
Oh, geez.
That was a closed set.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right though. And you're right, because even when he got the Academy Award, he sent the Native American woman up
Yes.
to accept
Yeah.
for him. Yeah, you're right. Oh, that's ironic. Really ironic. What so Olivia de Havilland, I mean, obviously she was at a, kind of an older part of her career. What was she like?
She was reserved. She was professional. She was, I didn't have many conversations with her.
Hmm.
Um, the only time I saw her was, like I said, in the makeup room.
Yeah.
And she, so she was, they were all just grateful, I guess, to be there. They knew that the project was one of a kind, and they knew the success of what they were coming off of.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I don't know how they got the roles, but if there's anything like Marlon Brando, he asked, he contacted.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Paul Winfield? He's another one for me that I always feel like when Paul Winfield's on the screen, you know it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, a lovely man. I went to the Emmys with him. We didn't know each other that well, but because we were all going together,
Yeah, they put you together. Yeah.
yeah, that sort of thing. And he was kind of quiet in terms
Mm.
of his personality, lovely, friendly,
Mhm.
talented as hell,
Yeah.
and kind. I,
Hmm.
I didn't get to know him really well because we didn't really have scenes together
Yeah.
that I can
I
remember.
can understand because he, even as an actor, and part of his strength is he has a reserved quality to him.
Yes,
So it's
yes,
interesting to hear that he was kind of like that in real life too.
yes, yes. Because his character was similar to that in Sounder. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Wow. Yeah. But by the way, another great movie.
Yes.
Um, okay, well, I'll tell you what, there's so many angles to Roots. We could talk about that all day, believe me. But I did want to check into the your very first job. And if I'm right on this, great. If I'm not, tell me. But I thought it looked like it was the FBI. Is that is that right? Was that the first, like, well, I guess I mean TV movie is what I meant to say.
Yes.
TV
Yes.
series. Yeah.
Yes. It was the FBI. Um, and it was really funny because Nancy Wilson, the
Yeah.
lovely, wonderful, great singer Nancy Wilson,
Oh,
played my mother. I played her daughter.
wow.
And one of the FBI agents was Tom Selleck.
Wow.
And
Wow. That
he
was
used,
early on.
I know, and he said that as an FBI agent, that early on, of course, he was tall, so he always got cut off.
Oh, funny. Oh, that is funny.
Yes. And yeah, I really loved that part because I got to run and cry, and I got to meet Nancy Wilson, whom I loved because I had her albums my first year in college.
Wow.
Hollywood My Way and Broadway My Way, and that I was meeting her, and she was so nice, and she embraced me, and we got to know each other. I spent the night and weekends at her house sometimes. Went to movies with her and her husband to see what did we see? Oh, Godfather.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And she lived in Pacific Palisades and just so gracious, just took me in, playing her daughter.
I mean, how cool is that you're
That is so,
playing her albums in college and then
yes.
you're sitting at her house, just doing the chit chat thing, whatever. That moments like that, I mean, were you able to take it in and kind of think like, this is crazy? Like I'm here right now with Nancy Wilson.
I mean, of course, but not like I take it in now because, the older you get, the more depth you can have.
Yes.
And yeah, it pretty darn phenomenal that I had her albums, Hollywood My Way, Broadway My Way,
Yep.
singing it, and ended up playing her daughter. And she cooked for me. She cooked, well, it wasn't, I was there spending the weekend with her. So it wasn't like it was her husband
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
herself
yeah.
too. And she made ham hocks and greens. And she showed,
Wow.
yes, she could cook.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
She could cook.
Yeah, just
Lovely, lovely lady.
just a real person underneath it.
A real person.
I love it. You also you were in a show that I always love, Soap. And you've got Susan Harris, created it and all that. What was that like for you being on, you played Polly Dawson. What
Right.
was that like for you being on that show? Because that was quite a cast. I mean, you had Billy Crystal, you had God,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
J.
of all the different people in that show. But yeah, what was that like for you? Was that a great experience? Was it a fun experience? What was it?
It was a good experience. I mean, the cast, it was great. It was great. It could be a difficult show because the writing wasn't, I mean, it was brilliant writing, but it wasn't
Right.
a story about where it has a beginning, middle, and an end. The writing, so it was complicated because you
Hmm.
had a ventriloquist, you had your Martians, you had
You had everything in there. Yeah.
Exactly. And now you've got this biracial relationship. And so I was thrilled to do that part because I didn't think there was hardly any biracial relationships on television.
Right. Right.
And they wanted that. They
Mhm.
wanted to show. I know that, and they said they didn't really get any hate mail. They only got like a postcard from someone in Wisconsin that said,
That's actually, I'm originally from Milwaukee, so that's really funny. I mean, I don't mean that I'm funny, but I mean, it's just
right,
ironic. Yeah.
right, where they said, we don't kiss here
Oh, geez.
on a
Oh, geez.
postcard.
Oh, is that painful to hear, by the way? Oh,
But,
seriously.
but,
But
but
that
it was,
was it. But one postcard.
yes,
That's
that's,
actually incredible.
yes,
I would have thought they were getting just flooded with stuff because that was so ahead of its time, that
yes,
show.
yes. But I think because that was the show to do it, because it was ahead of its time, and they were introducing so many new ideas and different
Hmm.
ideas that that's why they only got one. Perhaps people expected when they watched that to get something
Hmm.
to be a little shocking or a little
Well, I apologize for my state. I will tell you that right now because that's terrible.
what?
That postcard came in like that.
Oh,
Gosh. But that was a different time and
that was a
whatever.
different
I know
time.
that, but
That was
still.
a different
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that's crazy though. So did you get were you close or did you get to, hang with any of the cast that you felt a bond with?
Yes, as a matter of fact, just yesterday I was at lunch with one of the producers,
Oh,
Marsha Williams, because I had done well, I did that Hollywood show for Soap, and
yeah,
so
right.
I got
Right.
to reunite with a lot of the cast members there and the producers. And so until then, I had not really had any contact with like Ted Wass or any of the others because when you finish a show, everybody goes
Yep.
their ways and goes on with their lives, and unless the industry brings them back together or a social
Yep.
situation, sometimes you don't see them for years.
Oh yeah. Did you realize when you were on that show, was it like, wow, we're on something pretty special here. This is pretty
You know,
different.
I was coming off of Roots, right? And
Yep.
so I wanted work. I was glad, glad, glad
Hmm.
that this was a recurring character and not just a one thing. But because I was saying earlier, but because it was a show like it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And so the notes, I mean, the cast members, great, great, great.
Hmm.
But it wasn't easy because I guess of the pressure from the writers and the producers all the time about because they were incredibly creative, but it was not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that. You also the other I mean there's so many different ones, but another one was Knots Landing. You played Patricia Williams. What was it like being on that set? I've had Joan Van Ark on and I've actually talked with Donna Mills, but uh that has not been released. That will I mean as far as that interview yet. But what was and sincerely, because everybody has their own perspective on like the show and stuff like what was the experience like for you? What was Knots Landing like?
It was good. It was great in the beginning. It was I loved being there, and I had worked with the producer before. Early on in my career, I did this called Women in Prison, and
Hmm.
he was the producer on that. So he called me in for Knots Landing. I didn't audition. I just met with them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so it was great. And I was
Wow. Not having to audition for a series on that level. That says a lot, Lynn.
right. I guess he knew from his experiences who he was. So this is kind of sad, but yeah. So it was really an honor to just have that offer.
Sure.
And Larry took me. We went. And he took me to this function, this formal function of the studios, and all of that. So what happened was I was out of 9 shows in a row.
Wow.
Yes. And I know it didn't have anything to do with me or whatever. They were very thrilled with what I was doing and my performing and all of that. And it was great and all of that. So it wasn't anything like that. But I did not react well to that.
Yeah, 9 shows. You were just out.
Yeah, they had not included me in, it
Yeah.
was, and I called Larry and I said, it's 9. And Larry said, has it been that many?
Well,
And
mm,
I said yes. And so my behavior was not good.
yeah,
So that's when they killed my character off.
because you asked.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
was not happy, and
Is
you
it,
know,
I- you know,
egos there.
that's the what I mean, that's the part of the entertainment business that everybody's, you're just like, seriously, you know?
I've never told in an interview this before. I've never ever mentioned why I wasn't on Knots Landing before. So this is the first time. But that is the
Well,
9 shows. And I would call up and say, it's 7 shows, it's 8 shows. And on the ninth show, I called Larry and I said, I want to come in. And I said, I've been out of 9 shows in a row. And I told him, I said, I'm really sorry that this is happening because Larry, you're great and I adore you.
yeah.
And then they
Uh,
killed off my character.
Well,
Like,
because Lynn's difficult because she's making a call. You know, you know what I mean? I mean, I know I've been, I have a background as an actor, and I know the business, and it's that petty, It's like, oh, what? She's calling, asking why she's not working? Like, big shocker, you know?
exactly.
Oh,
So,
I'm sorry that happened to you. I really am. But at the same time, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised.
yeah.
I mean, I totally buy it. That's, yeah.
And, I kind of got mad at myself for getting upset
Oh,
about
sure.
that. But prior to that, I had been so inclusive. I was doing some of my scenes from them in my acting workshops and all of that. So I
Hmm.
knew that they were very pleased with what I
Yeah.
was doing. The writer said, "Oh, Lynne, we never have to worry about you," you
Hmm.
know. And I felt good about what was happening. And then they just got, I guess they got on other storylines, and but 9 shows in a row, and I was
Yep.
so anyway. So
Hey, it's okay. And I get it. And I mean this, Lynn, from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you being that open and honest and no BS. And that goes, miles. And by the way, the fact that you second guessed it, if you didn't say that, you wouldn't be an actress. You wouldn't be an actor. Okay. Because we all have done that. You know what I mean? But the
what's
bottom
up?
line, you stood up for yourself, and that's really all that matters. So in the long run, and that's really cool.
I guess they
Um,
feel like, well, she's still getting paid, but no, it wasn't about that. It was
yeah.
about, as you know, as you act, if you're an actor, you want to work, you want to
You
act.
want to work. I know exactly. And you earned it. You had a hell of a, already a hell of a run at that point. So it's like, come on. I hear you. I really do. That's interesting. Okay. So another one then is That's My Mama. Now this is your like first like you're starring in this. Um what was that like for you to star in it? And by the way, too, why tell me the story on that. Why did you leave? It was kind of a double whammy. I'm like looking at that. I know that was with Clifton Davis, I believe,
Yes,
as
yes.
well. Yeah.
So that was before soap, obviously, and Roots and all of that. That
Yeah,
was my very
sure.
first series. That's My Mama, and I was elated, delighted. I had a wonderful one. My very first series. I had a great relationship with Mama, Teresa Merritt. She was wonderful. We hung out. We were like mother and daughter. Ted Lange,
Oh, I
Theodore
forgot
Wilson.
Ted was in that. Oh, I
Yes,
didn't
he would
realize
come
that.
on. Ooh, wee was his line all the time. And
Wow.
and Theodore Wilson, and then the two older gentlemen, Jester Harrison and DeForest Coban. We were
Wow.
a lovely family. We loved each other. We loved each other. It was a comedy. And I did the first season. The second season, they didn't pick me up because they thought I was, they said, and too pretty to be funny.
Oh, come on. Oh no, no.
So,
I'm
so,
sorry, but that is unbelievable.
so my agent calls me and he says, so, okay, you're not doing That's My Mama, but you are doing Las Vegas Lady. He had a movie for me to do in Las Vegas with Stella Stevens.
Yeah, sure. Stella Stevens, great, great actress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Stuart Whitman.
Oh my gosh, sounds great.
Yeah. So I did that, and it was like 4 weeks in Las Vegas.
Hmm.
So that was fun. That was very cool, very cool. And I missed Mama, so I would go and Mama Teresa Merritt and I would still hang out. And now and then I would go and pick her up off of work. And I think the first time I did that, it was a little awkward, but the rest of the cast, they saw me and they all hugged me and all of that. They had new producers. They had
Oh,
new producers. And then the girl that replaced me, Joan Pringle, she's a sweet, lovely, lovely actor.
yeah.
And so it was probably a little awkward for her and for me, but I was in my car, my little sports car, picking up Teresa. We were going to go to dinner or something. And so I just asked her, I said, so how you like your job? She said, it's all right. And I said, well, good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're have no problem. We're friendly. And like I said, Teresa and I were like mother and daughter.
Right.
She said, I want my daughters to behave like you or something like that. And
Wow.
so
What a bizarre one. I mean, really, what a bizarre one. I've heard many things in this business, by all means. That is one of the classic lines. You're too pretty for
to be
comedy
funny. You
to be
can't be funny.
funny. Oh, come on.
I know,
Wow.
ridiculous,
Wow.
ridiculous.
Okay. Well, that's a new one on the marker here. So the other thing too is you were in one of the more kind of famous episodes of All in the Family as
Oh,
well. Yeah, you were Lionel Jefferson's fiance. Yeah.
right, right.
What was that like? I mean, I mean, people now, if they're younger or whatever, they might not understand how big All in the Family was at that time.
Yes.
What was that like for you to, I don't know, just what was that like? I guess the whole experience.
It was so cool because the casting director, I think her name was Jane Murray or Jane M something.
Yeah.
And during the audition process, she even directed me. She said, "You tell them da 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 da."
Wow.
And so I did, and I got the part for Jenny, and it was Lionel's fiance. And I
Yeah.
did exactly what the casting director told me and got the part. And the director during rehearsal says, "Oh, nobody does that better than you." And so I was real happy. And
Yeah.
it was a fun role.
Yeah.
It was,
What was it like being around, Carol O'Connor and, Gene Stapleton and Sherman
yes,
Hemsley and yeah, what was that like?
it was very cool. And the thing about it, Chuck Aidman and Kim Hamilton played
Oh,
my mother and father. He's white, Chuck Aidman,
yeah.
and Kim Hamilton, a lovely black
I think I can
actor.
picture them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they were good looking, great looking people, and lovely actors. Um, so I didn't get a chance to find out too much about what was going on with them, why they didn't uh, get more roles. I mean, they were
Well, they
recast.
were they were too good looking to do comedy. That's what it was, Lynn.
Tim Hamilton was a beautiful woman.
Oh,
And I know you're being funny.
oh my gosh. What
Yeah, so I played Lionel's
yeah,
fiance,
yeah.
and they had a spin-off of the Jeffersons. And Lionel did mention to me at some point, we would have come to you if you had waited. I was already doing That's My Mama. I
Ah,
was contracted to do That's My Mama when that happened because I did the All in the Family
yeah.
when That's My Mama was not even playing.
Yep, yep. Yeah. You know what? you can look back and you can go, oh, shoot, I wish I'd have gotten that. I've been on the Jeffersons, whatever. But the truth is, then you wouldn't have been on Roots. You wouldn't have been on all these other things. You'd have gone in this other direction. Who knows? So
Yeah.
it is funny how these serendipitous moments happen. And it's like, you know what? It actually worked out well, you know?
Thank you for, putting that out there for me like that, because it's true. It did work out. It worked out.
It did. It's like how things, because things wouldn't happen. It's that old "It's a Wonderful Life" moment or whatever. If you're not there, well, then that doesn't line up and all that stuff. So, your background, by the way, was intriguing too. I mean, I saw that you were a flight attendant. You were a Playboy Bunny at the Playboy Club. I mean, you had, I think people look and they think, oh, Lynne Moody. I mean, Roots, whatever. She's done all this, but you earned your stripes, so to speak. I mean, you were out there and making a living for yourself and everything else. What, how did that come about that you ended up being, I guess a Playboy Bunny at the Playboy Club? I'm assuming that's in LA. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
It happened because I was, how did I become a bunny? I needed a job at night so that my days could be free to
Hmm.
audition. When I came to California, I was came out with some people. This is so convoluted. I'll just leave that part out. But
No, don't. I want to hear it, Lynn. Tell me. Tell
I
me.
was I was with some friends. We went into the Playboy Club, and they were working on a kids project. But we went into the Playboy Club, and this manager there said, "I would hire you in a minute." And I thought, "Oh no, I could never be a bunny. Those costumes? No, no, no." I said, "No, no, no, no. I could not do that." And lo and behold, I became a bunny because I needed a job. Things happened, and I needed a job to leave my days free to audition. And when I went in, they hired me. And at first, I didn't tell my parents because I didn't want them to know that I was wearing that costume and that I was a bunny. They
Oh
would
yeah.
not have appreciated that because my father was a doctor, and
Hmm.
in Evanston, and so sort of, conservative in that department, ladylike I was supposed to be at all times.
Oh
And
yeah.
so bunnies, but at any rate, I did it for 6 months. It was great. I loved it. I loved wearing that little costume. And then I think what happened was, yeah, I started doing That's My Mama.
Oh
I
wow.
got auditions for the first job that I got, the FBI, you
Hmm.
know, and then I quit. Yeah, but
Wow.
it was great while it lasted. I liked wearing that little bunny tail.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. And did you by the way, you're well, I know you were born in Detroit, I believe, but you grew up in Evanston.
Yeah.
I know Evanston quite well actually. I have family on my wife's side that still live there. We were just there actually
Oh,
not
really?
even 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So I
Oh
know
my
Evanston. Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. It's a good town. It's a
It's
really
a
good
good
town.
town. It's a great town.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I had that experience rather than, maybe Chicago, because we came to
Mhm.
Evanston from Chicago, and I think they moved us out there because of mom had four kids, three
Wow.
girls and one boy. And so Evanston seemed to be a much better fit for the family.
Hmm.
Chicago. My aunt, who was the first Black delegate to the UN,
Oh
and
my
she was
gosh.
one of the first Black women judges in Chicago, and the first Black woman judge ever to be elected. Um, and she's got history.
Wait,
I mean,
what's her name?
Edith Samson, Edith Spurlock Samson, Judge Samson. But
Wow.
yeah, she was the first Black delegate to the United Nations. She served on UNESCO, on NATO, all kinds of stuff. And
Wow.
and there are things being written about her now, being developed, because her story needs to be told. And
Yeah.
she's got incredible credentials. I mean,
Oh
she's
my gosh.
with civil rights with Harry Belafonte and Mahalia Jackson. As a matter of fact, there's a picture that my sister has of Harry Belafonte because Mahalia Jackson and Harry Belafonte and I don't know who else were at my aunt's house, and he was on his knee kissing Mahalia Jackson's hand, and my
Oh,
sister saw it and she just screamed.
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Harry. Oh, wow. I mean, we're talking top of the line
That's
class
a
act.
yes, and that's a whole nother world
Oh
there
yeah.
of my
Oh yeah.
family.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
Who, Harry?
Yeah.
No,
No.
my sister did.
Yeah.
I have, but and I met his daughter.
Oh,
She,
Sherry.
yes, she's so sweet and wonderful, and she came on Knots Landing after I left as
Oh,
well.
wow.
I had a few beautiful black women on after I left.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, it's so funny because I know we had talked about this, but I'm telling you, I got to mention him because he really he inspired me to talk to you. Haywood Nelson. I'm saying he had mentioned when I had interviewed him, we had talked, and he had said how much he just looked up to you. He just thought Lynne Moody,
Oh,
just
that's
like
very
the
sweet.
best.
Sweet. He was
And
on What's Happening, right?
that is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he
I didn't.
yeah, he just anyway, just so you know, he
Thank
had
you for
mentioned you and
sharing.
that's kind of how things started to roll and he but he really he's always you had a huge effect on him as well.
I had no idea. Thank you for letting me know that. I that means a lot. And when I run into him, I will give him a huge hug.
You should. You should. There's a gentleman that he was just like, you've got to talk to her. You have got to talk to her. And I was like, okay, you got it, without a doubt. So anyway, all good. Just had to mention that from a personal standpoint. So
One
anyway,
last thing I want to talk about, though.
no, I gotta go. No, I'm kidding. Kidding, Lynn. Go ahead.
My daughter and I,
Yes.
Lisa, are going to do a podcast,
Very
and it's
cool.
going to be called Conversations with Mom.
Oh, perfect. I love the title.
It's her idea. It's her energy, and her genius, really, because I thought that topic was really good too. And she's got some wonderful subjects lined up for us to deal with and talk. And so I just wanted to mention that Lisa and I are going to have our own.
I love I love the idea. I think it's terrific. I also think it's one of those things that it's going to come from a very real place because obviously there's a lot of things that will come up as you're talking about between the two of you that you
Yeah,
might not even realize. So that's really cool.
you're absolutely right. Because at first I thought no, and now I'm thinking I've got so many opinions though.
Yeah, yeah. Oh please, Lynn, you will have no trouble. And like I said, after meeting Lisa, I don't think there'd be any tough time talking to each other. That's
Oh,
for sure.
thank you.
Um, hey, I do have one question for you that it's the only thing in all the research that I couldn't really quite put my hands on. Why what happened? Like what made you want to be an actress in the first place?
Oh,
I didn't really get that.
yeah, I don't even know myself. It's just always been there. And I think it came from my grammar school in Chicago because I had a teacher there, Mr. Clark, and he wore a boutonniere. It was all, all black. Everything was
Mhm.
all black in this community. And he was a wonderful, he wore suits and a red or a white carnation every day.
Hmm.
And he had us do skits, and whenever we did a skit, he would always have me in front. And in reading class, he would always have me reading. And so I loved being picked and chosen and singing and being out there and being the center of attention, I guess.
Yeah.
So it started there, and I saw that people were reacting and that I was funny, and he was reacting so much that I decided I wanted to be an actor. And I know that when you're a kid, you're just unlimited in
Hmm.
your imagination.
Yeah.
I remember going to a some sort of auditorium for a big meeting, and I went to the auditorium, and I was probably about 4 or 5, and there were a lot of people there, my brothers and sisters, and I decided I wanted to sing. And so my mother said, "No, of course not." And I started crying. I wanted to sing, and my aunt was heading up this thing. So he said, "Okay, let her sing," because I was, having, I guess, hysterics.
Yeah.
So I get up on this stage, no background music, no nothing, no microphone, just an audience full of adults. And I get up there and sing "The Little White Cloud That Cried." I have no idea why,
Wow.
but I did. That was me. Oh my God. So it started way back then, and they felt like the best way to discourage me from being an actress is to not encourage me and not say anything, just to not encourage me or discourage me, act like it's not even happening
And
there.
it never died, obviously. I mean, you
Never died, because there weren't opportunities really in high school because everything was white.
yeah, I
But
believe it.
in junior high in Evanston, I did do a play called Tad Lincoln in the White House, where I played a slave girl named Sarah Bella.
Oh,
And I
how
was happy
crazy.
to do it. I know I was happy, I was excited, but my, family and friends, "You're playing a slave girl. You're
Right.
playing a slave girl." So, there was no prestige involved in it. But that's what kept me. So in summertime I would do theater here or there. In Chicago, I did Hull House, and
Wow.
went to Goodman Theater there, and
Oh yeah, top.
did plays there. So went to school there as
You went
well.
to school at Goodman Theater?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Wow.
It's an accredited college,
Oh,
Art,
very
Art
cool.
Institute. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just like top. I mean, please, when it comes to theater, I mean, it's, everybody knows that one. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that was actually just because I'm from back in that, I'm from Milwaukee originally. I think the Goodman Theater actually was started from like I don't know if it was his family or what, but it was like the playwright Goodman. I don't know if he was the son or whatever, but that's how the whole thing started. Somehow it's tied into that
Oh, I
that
didn't
whole
realize
thing.
that. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I'm gonna check out that history.
Yeah, yeah. But that's so cool that you did that. So then you leave, and then were you always like, look, I'm gonna do this? So you're driven to it. I mean, yes, I know you did the flight attendant. I know you were a Playboy Bunny, but was it always the impetus is I am acting. I am
Yes, that was always a dream, to be an actress, an
hmm
actor. But yes, it was always, that carrot was always being dangled in front of me. And so it happened. I came out to California, and started working out here. And, you know, what can
sounds
I?
like it happened pretty quickly after you came out here. I mean, it doesn't say, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, yes, I'm not saying it was all like,
Right.
I know
It
that
wasn't overnight.
it wasn't overnight, but it does sound like you did start to get work.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
One thing led to another, led to another. And
right.
that's the way it happens in this town. If you are dedicated or serious, you
hmm
want to be an actor, then you invest in the tools that prepare you for that. And
Right.
so that's what you do. You work on the tools, you get workshops, you work on your speech, you work on your dance, you work on,
hmm
everything to be a complete performer.
Yeah. Keep the passion alive. Yeah.
Yes. And it's easy when you have it. It's easy. You know what you need to do. You want to study dialects or work on your vocal, or
hmm hmm
you know how to express. So
Wow. Well, Lynn, I got to tell you, it's just been a lot of fun. I really appreciate having you on.
it has been fun. Thank you. I'm sending you a hug.
Well, I'll send it back to you right now, without
Okay,
a
great,
doubt. No,
great.
I really appreciate it. And please tell Lisa, I'm wishing her the best as well. And
I
I'll
would.
I will I'll be in touch for sure. But uh yeah, just thanks a bunch for being on. I loved all of it. It was
I
really,
did
really
too.
fun.
I did too. You're so easy to talk to. You're so genuine. I love you.
Well, Lynn, I feel the same way. I thought you were great. So, no, thank you. And it does. I am genuinely interested. So, no, it's great. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thanks again.
You too. Take care.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and definitely hit the subscription button. As well, hit the notification bell so that you'll know when my next episode is released. In addition, check out some of my other interviews if you haven't had a chance. Eric Roberts, Henry Winkler, Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver. There's so many. Enjoy.